Hello, you guys. This is Landis TV, and my next issue that I want to talk about as far as women and relationships is to dig deeper into your life issues to find out why you do the things that you do, why you act the way you act. To find out more about yourself. I think the first thing we should do as women is we need to, start dating ourselves, courting ourselves. That means women, if you are a serial dater or you always have been with somebody for a great deal of your life and you've just never ever been by yourself, I encourage you to be by yourself. It's nothing wrong with being by yourself, ladies, especially African American women. I think in the African American community, our elders always say, well, what's wrong with her? She doesn't have a man. Excuse me. And not having a man is not a big issue. I mean, like, you don't have to have a man to complete you. You can be an interesting person and have a full life and not have a man. And I just feel like we should not use a man or have a man for validation, whether that's with ourselves or with our family and our friends. Girl, you need to be dating. If you haven't found the right one, or let's just say you're working on yourself. For instance, me, I've taken a sabbatical. It's actually been, I want to say like 2 years strong, maybe a little bit more than that. I have to get the accurate number so I can share that with you guys. But I've just taken more time to get to know myself. I've been working on myself pretty much for about, I think I really started doing work on myself like heavily, 2007 when my father passed. I had been doing work before then, but it was just like I was learning a lot. Didn't know how to dig through my pathology and find out more about myself. So anyway, when I say dig deeper, I think we need to deal with the issues from our childhood, and forgive ourselves for the mistakes that we have made, as well as forgive others that have hurt us. I think everybody has hurt somebody at some point, and you just have to be forgiving, because he who is without sin cast the first stone. I mean, I think we all have done something. However, I'll talk about this situation where it was something that went on in my family, where I needed to apologize because I was the one at fault, and I did. And I got word from another family member that this person was basically talking about it. So when they said they forgave me, they didn't. However, I've forgiven myself. I asked them to forgive me, but we don't eat doo-doo. Like, we don't brown nose, we don't kiss butt. Like, I apologize and I'm done. So moving right along, moving forward, if you want to dwell on that, if you want to drink it and have it for dinner and breathe it, go right ahead, because I'm not going to participate, nor will I have to try to deal with that. Like, I'm not gonna not, every time I come around, I gotta hear that. Like, I'm not gonna deal with it. You know what I'm saying? Because if that's the case, then what have you, done to somebody at one point in time? So I think sometimes we get a little self-righteous and we stand on our pedestals and, we're like, da 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 da, but it doesn't work. I'm forgiving myself. God has forgiven me, the one true judge. And that's all that matters. And I'm fine with that. So, like Deepak Chopra said, you have to separate yourself. After you've asked that person to forgive you and they don't, it's their problem now. And you have to separate yourself from that. So it's no longer my issue, it's your issue. The energies are transferable. I'm throwing it back. Don't want it. But anyway, I think, we have to deal with our issues. That particular issue that I just talked about had to do a lot with my issues, because it was one of the issues was, first, let me tell you, one of my childhood issues is, abuse. I was physically and verbally and emotionally abused, as a young child. And that's my pathology. That's everybody has a story. And alcoholism from my grandfather to my dad, and it got to me. I didn't look at it as alcoholism because I felt like I had it under control until like it happened to me at my cousin's. I had a bout where I had a situation where I fell out with a friend of mine, and that was the first incident. And then it happened to a family member that I really, 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 really care about. And so then I think that was kind of the straw that broke the camel's back. And so I had to, my sister and my daughter, which was really terrible. I didn't want her to see that, but my sister and my daughter basically told me, like, you were so off the chain. I didn't even know. I had drank so much. I was totally out of control, like, seriously. And I'm not unreasonable. I'm not expecting nobody not to have any upset with it and, oh, you're supposed to forgive me and da-da-da-da. But to carry it on and to talk about it when you are always telling me not to talk about something, that's kind of like double standard. But I mean, it's cool. Done with that. Okay. So that was one of the issues, digging back in my pathology and learning. That's why I have done it, because I have not only from my point of view of the alcohol, my dad drank and then my grandfather did. So that's the pathology. So I know I have to do my limit and stick with it, and I have to stick with wine and not liquor, and that's just what I have to stick with. I also have to deal with the abuse. I had to deal with the abuse as well, because alcohol too and abuse, those are things that can, if you get in a relationship with somebody, it's baggage, and you can actually lose a person because you drinking and you going crazy and nutting up and acting a fool. And you can also lose somebody with the abusive behavior. With me dealing with abuse, I became abusive, with everybody around me, quick to anger, quick to fight, quick to just go in, and that's not necessary. And everybody knows that anger is an expression of fear. So I never believed that, but it is, I guess. And so I feel like when you go through your issues and you learn from your issues, you know exactly what you need to do to work on yourself, so you can be that whole person when you do get with somebody. But if you don't, if we just sweeping things under the rug, for instance, if you are alcoholic, and your brother alcoholic, your daddy was probably alcoholic, and his daddy was probably alcoholic, and his daddy, it's a pathology. That's why they call it pathology. It's your family tree. It traces back. If you drink, you need to look at your father, look at your mother, look at your father's father. You know what I'm saying? Your father's parents. You have to go and look into your pathology. If there is lying, you have to go back in your pathology and see, oh, it's lying here. That's why I lie. You know what I'm saying? For example, I lie a lot. So where did I get that from? Why am I doing that? Because that's what I call it, the sins of the forefathers, because we all know whatever they did, which is your parents, and the great grandparents, the grandparents, the great grandparents, the great great grandparents, whatever they did, you do. It takes up, like my mom was saying, it takes up from the maternal and the paternal side. It takes up grandparents from the maternal side and the paternal side to make up a child, to make a whole person. So you have temperaments coming from both sides. So you have to look into those pathologies. You have to look through the pathology of your mother and, you know, her parents, whether they together or not, and look through the pathology. And if you don't know, ask your mother, you know, about your dad. Who was he? How was he? How did he act? What did he do? What was his lifestyle? That's why you see on TV people saying, I want to meet my dad, get to know who he is, how he, you know, how he get down, how he talk, how he walk, you know, so you'll know why you do what you do. I mean, even down to little quirky habits. Like my daddy does this. He used to do that with his nose. I mean, I do that. I mean, you know, so that's called digging deep into your pathology, getting to know yourself, becoming an expert on you. So when you get with people, they can't be so quick to tell you about you because you already know. So either you working on it or you ain't discovered it. But it has to be dealt with so that you can interact better in relationship with other people. Okay, that's that. Okay, so this is part 1. I'm gonna do a part 2 because I don't think this video is gonna take time to edit. So I'm gonna do a second video. So you guys stay put and you can see part 2 next. Thank you.